Welcome to the Good Success Podcast. We have an amazing show scheduled for you today, but before we get started, let's have a word from our sponsors. Radius Renovation Group is a full-service construction management solution for investors of single-family and small multifamily investors in 25 states. Whether you own one property or hundreds in different states, the goal is to be your one-stop shop for all your construction needs to increase property values and to give you a positive and profitable outcome. Using their 8-step process, Radius will walk the project, complete a line-by-line scope of work and estimate, schedule work with licensed and Radius-certified contractors, manage the project and contractors, pay the contractors as work is completed, provide quality control throughout the project, and when the project is complete, do a final inspection. Clients are provided with login access to Radius's cloud-based project management platform to view work schedules and updated photos of each job. There is even the ability to directly message the project manager. Radius only works with real estate investors, so they speak your language and understand your needs, from project timing to investor-friendly pricing. If you're an investor who is done trying to manage contractors and rehabs on your own, it might be time to consider having Radius as your partner. To put their expertise to work for you today, visit the Radius website at www.radiusreno.com or call them right now at 417-730-9777. And now, back to the Good Success Podcast.
The other one is the power of habit. Also affects everything, not even just your business, your personal life. Every part of your good success is going to come from the habits, your mental, which extends into physical, spiritual, everything. Check it.
Welcome back to the Good Success Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Culler. Got Tom Olson looking all snazzy in his nice
I had
blazer
a meeting this morning. I just got back.
Yeah, what's going on?
We were actually at a meeting where there's a delegation of people from Gary, Indiana, going out to Amazon in 3 weeks to actually pitch the airport to Amazon, and it's an actual real thing, and they're very interested in the airport. Think about it, like Amazon owning,
owning the airport,
part of it, or occupying a big portion of it. So if you know, in Memphis, for instance, one of the airports is almost solely owned or run kind of by FedEx. This would be the same thing, but it would be Amazon.
Interesting, and that's pretty cool. So how did that go?
It was amazing. It's awesome.
That's good.
There's a lot of things happening in Gary, Indiana right now. I was at a meeting on Friday as well when they're talking about moving the casino on land. And not because I'm like a big proponent of casinos itself in general, but
Tom, we know that you go to casinos every weekend.
Well, no, like I've never spent $1 in a casino myself,
kidding.
But I'm interested in what it's going to do for the community, and I'm also interested in trying to figure out. You have to go to people where they are, so that's what I was doing, going to people where they are and trying to figure out how I can be of value to them and how I can see what the needs are and know the people that are doing the moving and shaking.
Super exciting, and we're excited to hear more about it at the Community Go-Giver event, which we'll talk about in just a second. But we got Heather Nichols on the line today out of Dallas, Texas. Heather, what's going on? How you doing?
Howdy from Dallas. It's awesome here. It's bright, sunny in the 80s, not to sound like sunny San Diego, although I'd love to be that, but howdy from Dallas. Glad to be here.
Incredible. That's awesome. We got a pretty nice day today.
It's nice. It's
nice
going
out.
to be 70,
That's
so
right.
We're happy.
We're getting up there. Not at your level yet, but we're getting there.
Yes.
So you may not want to get to the Texas level. It hits triple digits pretty fast. We have about 2 weeks of spring. There's winter, sort of, a blink of spring, and then it's summer for 70% of the year.
Oh, man. Yeah, that doesn't sound interesting to me. 100-degree weather. But anyway, so we're excited to have Heather on the show today. She's got a bubbly personality, so it's going to be a fun interview. Heather actually came to our mastermind in Dallas in February. Had a good time there. Heather is the owner of the Biz Fiz, so she runs that company, which is a marketing company, social media marketing company. We're going to have her talk a lot about that today when we come back around and have her introduce herself. Tom, you met Heather.
Absolutely. So Heather is actually one of our newest mastermind members, and talking about the power of a mastermind and talking about like the value of a mastermind. I always think when we have our members on the podcast, we always got to ask them, hey, what value are you getting? Why would you join? And really, like, more specifically, if you had to spend $20,000 or invest $25,000 into something or more, like, why would you invest it in a mastermind, and what benefits do you get out of them?
Well, the benefits I get from a mastermind, and why I think anybody who is wanting to be serious in entrepreneurship and really grow, you've got to invest in a mastermind, because it's all about brain trust. We only have, a certain personal maximum, each individual, but we must combine our, if you want to say, forces with other like-minded individuals who have that. You say go give, I'm going to say grow give, because I think growth happens once you cross that mindset from what can I get to what can I give. And so to be in a room full of that kind of people, that kind of thinking, and that kind of a living, then I think, limits can be surpassed, barriers can be broken. This is how we reach our true potential, is by investing in others or investing in a common cause together. So to me, that's the power of a mastermind. It will make me stretch personally, and it'll make me better, not just as a business, but also as an individual. And actually, I think it happens in that reverse. It starts with, even though we might be there for a business agenda, if we invest in ourselves, our business will grow. It's only going to go at the speed that we go.
Yeah, too many times I see entrepreneurs, they almost get like a little lazy. They're like, I've got certain parts of my business figured out, so I think all of a sudden now I know it all, and I don't really need to be held accountable. I don't really need to stand in front of a room and show all of my things that aren't working very well, but that's exactly what you do need. And I'm glad that you brought that up, because as far as like getting there faster, there's no shortcuts in life. There's no shortcuts in business, but you can get there faster. You can drive the race car versus driving the Volkswagen Bug. You can, and one of the key ways that I have found is in a mastermind, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think you can buy speed by grabbing the network and grabbing that brain trust of everybody else that's been where you want to be.
Right. To me, that's the exponential difference. People talk about, working smarter, not harder, and moving from addition to multiplication. But the mastermind is where you get exponential. I mean, it's a totally different kind of multiplier on that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very hard to quantify, but I think it's way more than thousands of times your investment. So, but because it lasts with you for a lifetime. You have connections for a lifetime. You've got brain trust for a lifetime. You have knowledge and ideas for a lifetime, and it's amazing. So, yeah, absolutely. The next mastermind is,
speaking of the mastermind.
Yes, speaking of the mastermind, the next mastermind after this one airs is going to be August 5, 6, and 7, or 7, 8, 9, right here in Maryville, Indiana, and I'm super excited about going there. If you're interested in that, www.goodsuccess.com/mastermind. You fill out the application, you get to talk to me, and then we'll see if you're a good fit and see if we can see you there in August.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, we have Heather on the show today. She's a mastermind member. You guys are going to get to see her personality, and this is just the type of people that we have in the mastermind. Very, very, very much value that culture that is in that room, and every single person has a giving spirit, kind of like what Heather's got here. And so you guys are going to get to see that as we interview her today. So one more time, goodsuccess.com/mastermind. Fill out the application there, and then we'll get on the phone with you. And then the Community Go-Giver event. Speaking of Gary, let's talk about it. What do you got going on?
So Gary, Indiana,
it's coming up fast.
It is honestly the Community Go-Giver event. If you haven't already booked your tickets, then you may. I hope there's tickets left. But there's a lot of exciting things happening in Gary, Indiana right now. I'm getting investors almost daily email me and say, "Hey, I heard about all these things that are happening in Gary, Indiana. I want to invest in them." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've been saying this for the last couple of years." And if you want to learn out how you can make a bunch of money, and not only make a bunch of money, but help a community, Gary, Indiana, and it's funny. It's like, so the whole pitch and which we talked about today, with this delegation that's going to Seattle in about 3 or 4 weeks, is basically, hey, why don't you invest in a city and help turn around a city, and if you invest in the poor, one of God's principles is if you give to the poor, God will bless you exponentially, and that's part of the pitch to Amazon. Let's see if they take it. But I think they like the airport enough anyways. They're not going to get an airport anywhere else.
Yeah, and if not, you guys are going to keep pushing forward. You're still going to have the Community Go Giver event. So make sure you guys sign up for it. CommunityGoGiver.com is where you can sign up. But make sure you do, because it's selling out at 80 tickets. It's happening right here in the office, right outside the studio. So you guys won't want to miss out on that. But we can only take 80 people, so you don't want to miss out. CommunityGoGiver.com. Pick up tickets today. There's 1 ticket and then 2 ticket packages, which a 2 ticket package is a steal. I think it's like, what, $500 or $600?
It's like $487 for 2 tickets or something
ridiculous.
After discounts or
That's
whatever.
ridiculous for what they're getting.
Way too much value.
Some incredible speakers that are going to be there. You guys go check out CommunityGoGiver.com. Pick up your tickets today. And then we didn't mention, but if you guys haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the Good Success Podcast. Whatever podcast platform you're on, we're on there too. So go search Good Success. You'll find us there. Or to make it easier, just go to your app store, whether you're on iPhone or Android, and search Good Success. You'll find the app there, the mobile app. It's super easy to use. It's incredible. You can find any episode. When we're done with Heather's podcast, all you got to do is search Heather Nichols and you'll find it there. You don't even have to type in the episode number or anything. So the official Good Success app, go download it today. All right, so let's get into this podcast interview today. I'm excited to have Heather Nichols on the line today. Heather, do us a favor for the people that don't know who you are. Introduce yourself. So who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing all that.
Yeah, howdy from Dallas. I'm Heather Nichols. I'm the owner of the Biz Fiz. Marketing that makes a difference, connecting your marketing to sales. And I do that through mainly the digital space. That can look like creating your message and creating the content for social media, to helping to foster a community there on the internet, also with SEO, websites. So if it's in a digital space and you're trying to connect with your clients, especially from a psychological aspect, rather than us present marketing, we want to present communications that help to solve problems. And some businesses actually struggle with getting that communicated. So that's some of what I'm going to talk about today, is how to convert your marketing into sales.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited about talking about this because we've not really had anybody on the show to talk about this realm at all. And this is a side of the business, and any business that you're in, but especially in real estate, in the real estate investing industry, that you guys absolutely need to educate yourself on and learn more about. And I know Tom's been making strides to make that happen as well. So you guys need to as well. So that's why we got Heather on the line today. So you mentioned a community, so building a community online. So
Right.
We talk about community a lot. It's one of Good Success's core values, and one of the reasons why we even named it the Community Go Giver event. So for you, like the community, when we talk about Community Go Giver event, more or less means Gary, Indiana, geographical location.
Yeah.
But when it comes to an online community, kind of define that for the people that are listening today and kind of why it's important to build one.
Sure. So your online community is since we're talking in the online space, it's your digital harbor for people who are of like mind or common interests to come and have conversation. So it's not necessarily about one person talking to masses. There are people who use it for that kind of a platform, but typically people are not going to engage for very long if they're being talked at. However, everybody wants to join a conversation. Everybody has an opinion, and almost everybody has a question. So even if somebody's going to be a fly on the wall and observe all the other engagements going on inside that community, in terms of groups or what might be formerly known as chat rooms, how that translates, people can always learn from even observing the conversations of others. And that's why you hear a lot of people say there's no such thing as a dumb question, because if you're not asking it, you're not learning or growing through it. And that can also be the position where someone else takes it as a positive for them that maybe they didn't have the courage to ask. So that makes them stay even engaged longer. And that engagement eventually can lead to conversions. It helps to establish that relationship so that if we're continuously more prioritized with having that engagement, fostering the conversation, being of value, then we don't have to worry about trying to be viral, being some one-hit wonder. So I think if everybody just imagine, let's create a safe harbor for conversation without criticism and invite people to just have a conversation, People want to engage. People want to be social. That's why they're on social media. They're there to connect, and we can help that. So to me, that's what building a community is. It starts with our leadership, though, as those community leaders, to set the tone and the expectations and to engage with them in that way.
Absolutely. That's incredible.
So how does that actually lead to sales, which is kind of where you're going with this?
Yeah, so once people are engaged and you've earned that relationship, then they're going to be more receptive when you do want to offer something else of either education or a direct promotion, which of course we want to be a little guarded. We don't want to be too quick, just like in person. You know, you always feel a little put off when the first thing when you meet somebody, they want to hand you a business card and say, if you ever need these services, let me know, as opposed to actually getting to know them. So we want to translate that into the social media space, into the internet space, similar to how it works in real life. We're just taking the real life conversations and putting it into a digital format. If it feels weird in person, it probably feels super weird online too.
That's interesting. So those two things are kind of different mindsets in marketing than what most business owners are used to, right? So even business owners in the 1990s and in the early 2000s, social media didn't exist. So there wasn't this thing called social media marketing, which is huge now. So kind of talk about the mindset that businesses need to have going into marketing nowadays, especially online marketing and digital marketing. So one of those mindsets is building a community, which is totally different from advertising, which is more transactional than building a community. So kind of talk about the importance of switching that mindset and how business owners can kind of adapt to that new age of marketing.
Sure. So I'll position it this way. Whenever somebody encounters an ad, when they can sense it's an ad, especially in terms of social media, and again, that's not what they're there for. They're there to be social. If they feel it's an ad, they're going to be turned off. They will scroll right past. They're not going to be as likely to engage if it feels like a promotion. However, if it feels like education or a conversation, then they're probably going to start to digest and consume your content more often, which eventually then you've got top of mind awareness. They're actually seeking you out at the time that you do have an offer. Again, they're more receptive. So as one of my mentors has said before, don't create ads, create value. So you're going to hear me talk about value more often and what that means. Lessening the marketing language, not thinking of how can we promote, but rather, how can we actually use the customer language? Forget our language, forget the formalities. You could even look in the sense of how do we go to Google? People will go with their real language to Google and type in search. Even if they don't know the name of something, they're not going to use the jargon. So then why should we use the jargon? It's not saying that you can at all, but if you really want to reach your customers the way that they talk, then we need to use their language. We need to think about who they are. How do they make decisions? How do they communicate? What's going to help them to move forward? So that's the mindset I wish that more people would take on.
Can you go a little bit deeper into that? Because you talked about, kind of putting yourself in the person's shoes that you're marketing to, speaking their language. Go a little bit deeper into that, because I think that's something that's not talked about a lot and is very important to understand.
Okay, sure. So I think the easiest place for business owners to go to determine, well, what is the language that our customers use, is to think about the conversations you're either already having or have already had. What are they asking you? What are the objections they're giving you? What are their frustration points? They're probably already telling you everything you need to be that education source and that resource for the next person. We're just not harnessing it. So that's a huge opportunity. That can become your email subject line. That can become a blog topic. That can become video content. It can be turned into all kinds of content. Your customers are already giving it to you. I think just a lot of businesses aren't listening in that way.
I hope you've been enjoying this Good Success podcast, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Our next sponsor is Gary Harper at Sharper Business Solutions. Your business is a personal endeavor that you have poured your blood, sweat, and tears into, and they know that. Sharper Business Solutions is a full-service solution to help you scale your dream. Sharper Business Solution implements the Sharper process and other key systems, giving you the confidence that you need to have freedom and grow and scale your business. The Sharper team wants to come right alongside you and provide the resources needed for long-term growth and success. If you are looking to grow or scale your business, contact my friend and Good Success Mastermind member, Gary Harper, and his team to help you implement the Sharper process. You can schedule your free consultation today at sharperprocess.com. So go do it right now. Go to sharperprocess.com and schedule your free consultation with Gary and his team. Our next sponsor is Jerry Padilla from Prime Lending. Whether it's your first time buying a home or you're well adversed in the process, buying and refinancing a home can be an exciting and rewarding but sometimes challenging experience. At Prime Lending, we take the time to listen and work with you to find a home loan that fits your needs. If you are looking to refinance your loan, lower your interest rate, lower your monthly payments, shorten your term, or get cash for whatever reason you need, we have a solution for you. Prime Lending also has several options for renovation loans, so you can find what works best for you and your home project. Make sure you contact our good friend, Jerry Padilla, who is a senior loan officer and originator with Prime Lending and has over 11 years in the mortgage industry. You can learn more about Jerry and what Prime Lending has to offer you by visiting goodsuccess.com/prime lending. Again, that's goodsuccess.com/prime lending. And now, back to our show.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the statement, don't create ads, create value. So what is value to you? Like, how do you create value in marketing? I mean, isn't marketing, you're supposed to try to, advertise and get people to buy, whatever it is, whatever product or service you have. I mean, that's marketing, right? So what is value in marketing? What does that even mean?
So the value goes back to what the customer perceives as value, not what we think. We can propose, we can suppose, and we can test. That's fine. But again, our customers are already telling us. They wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't of value to them. So if somebody comes to you and says, you know what, the reason I'm not investing in this is because whatever that fill in the blank is, that's your answer. That's what they needed to be addressed in order to make a decision to move forward. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think the big difference, though, is as an owner of a business, every time you spend $1, you're thinking of it as an investment. So in order to think like an investor, how do you figure out then what that ROI is? Because it's now you're not just talking about dollars and cents. Now you're talking about time invested. You're also talking about, so I think I agree what you're saying, but on the other hand, I see a bunch of people that create communities that they like themselves really don't get anything for it, but at the end of the day, they're just wasting their time. And then the other side, I see people that are extremely focused on what they're doing, and they're getting a lot out of it because they're putting out a lot more content or a lot more whatever it is that they're doing. But every single post or every single time that they're hitting their audience, they're giving them an opportunity to not just engage socially, but engage in a way where it comes back to the owner. So I guess that's what I think that's what a lot of owners are really confused about, because they're used to investing money and saying, this is how much money I'm going to get back for. And that honestly, one of the keys to business is understanding, if I spend this much money in marketing, it produces this many leads, which produces. So how do you put that together?
So you're asking how to gauge that.
Yeah. So it's not all intuitive, right? So let's paint the picture from the other end of the canvas, talking about the sales aspect. So here, I've been answering the questions about the value and what it means for marketing, and where that crosses the bridge to equal sales. Actually, we should begin with sales in mind, begin with the end in mind. And what are our goals? If we're not clear on our goals, how can we possibly be clear on what our marketing plan is going to be to get there? So you have to be clear on what your goals are. Even if you don't know the how, you have to start with the what. You already know the why, so go ahead and declare that what. And let's reverse engineer that. So if you already know that you need an increase of X number of sales or X number of dollars, then how many customers or transactions does it take to get there? When it comes to online, how are we going to get that to backtrack from? Let's suppose if they are clicking to opt in, maybe opt-ins are your leads. So we're just working the numbers backwards to see, well, what's our traffic been? How many of those convert? we've been doing X plus Y and that equaled Z. Well, if we want to put tilt into the marketing, maybe we need to do more of X or less of X. So we can put some logic into this and use the numbers, but we have to have a clear goal to know what we're working with to reverse engineer. So as I was talking with a builder, a construction builder, custom homes the other day, and they were talking about, well, how do we get ROI on this? So we were talking about, well, exactly the numbers. What is your closing rate? How many phone calls do you get right now without changing anything in your marketing? Just doing what you've been doing. How many calls are you getting? What's your closing rate when you get somebody on the phone call? So by getting those known numbers to start with is a big help, so that once we start instituting some new marketing, we can see where that shift begins to take place and measure, is the marketing working? What is working? What needs to get tweaked? So you do have to begin with clear goals to have a strategy that's worth starting. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So then let's just walk me through this. So if I want to get 15 new people at the next mastermind, so that's the number in which I know if I have 15 new people, I'm going to have 7 or 8 new signups because we have the data to show that. So kind of help walk me through that. How do I get to 15 new people? Because we've been running at like a 5 to 10 rate, and I need to bump that up to 15.
Definitely. So you would look at what you've already been doing, and if you've already gotten some things that has worked on that, you can simply double down and do more of what is working. Or if you want to innovate, maybe there's some innovative strategies that could be added on, and that's when you resource and add an innovator like myself or some other expert to come in and speak into your business, which I know that you already do, consulting with other experts in your mastermind, and they have brilliantly spoken into your business. So we're looking for those gaps, those opportunities where you can multiply those efforts.
So it's sitting down every week or two and kind of just seeing what are we doing, and then tweaking it every single week. It's like it's not just getting the marketing out, but it's changing it in a way that gets better results.
Yes, and that should also be a shift in the mindset of business owners. I think there's still a lot of people out there who believe, well, I'm just going to do this and it's either going to work or it's not. And although that's true, you take it as learning. There is something to learn from every test, every effort you make. But are you taking it as a lesson, or are you just calling it failure too quick? It may just mean that you need to tweak a few things. Maybe you just need to tweak your call to action. Maybe you just need to tweak the message. Maybe it's the wrong image, for example. But they give up too quick. They don't think in terms of, well, what can we adjust and then test again?
It's interesting you said that. I just did a study actually on patience, and that's kind of one of the things that I learned was like sometimes people just aren't patient enough. They just need to like, but patience doesn't come with just sitting back and saying I'm not going to do anything. It's believing in the mission. It's believing in those goals that you can reach them, and making that changes that need to be made and in that. So that's awesome. Yeah.
And the data is your friend.
Yeah.
The data will not lie. It's there to help you. So look at the data, get the metrics, even if it's news that you don't want, oh, well, it only got this, or it didn't get anything. Try to make a guesstimate as to why, and then go at it again, go at it differently.
One of the things that you mentioned in one of your previous statements was figure out what's working and double down on that. So that sounds a lot like the 80-20 rule, right? Like the 80-20 marketing rule. So kind of define that, because I know that there's a lot of business owners out there that want to try everything. They want to spread themselves out, which is understandable, right? Diversifying. Yeah. But kind of explain, is that good? Is that bad? And why? Whatever your answer is, why is that good or bad?
Yeah, so doubling down on what is working, that's just the logical sensibility to me. Here's what's going to get your results, because that's what everybody wants. They don't want to continue to experiment, because that's the cost time. You can't get time back. So everybody does want to make more sales faster. So once you find what is working, great. Focus in on that. Do more of that. Cut out some things that maybe hasn't gotten you results, or if you don't have the resources to go and assess how to make it better, bring in an expert, or cut your losses and cut it out. Those are both options you can take. But if you need the results, you got to do what's proven to work.
Interesting. So somebody that wants to be on every single marketing platform that they see out there,
oh gosh,
that's a no then?
Yeah. Okay. So even the way that you said that, I think a lot of business owners think in terms of, well, here's every platform I want to be on. It's back to me.
Sure.
Well, what about the customer? Where's your customer? But yeah. So no, we don't need to be every place. And even
just
if
where your customers are.
Yes, be where your customers are. Absolutely. You go hunting or fishing. If you know the fish you're fishing for or the animal that you're hunting for, you go where they live.
I like that.
Why wouldn't you do that with your customers?
I love that. Do you hunt? Is that why you gave that analogy?
I'm from Mississippi originally, so yeah, there's a lot of hunting going on.
Gotcha. That's awesome.
I got a shotgun for Thanksgiving one year.
Well, there you go. So that's some really good information. I think every single person, if you're listening, like you need to make sure you take every single thing that Heather has said into account, because it's all extremely important when it goes into your marketing efforts. Because like Tom said, it's not just the money, now it's the time that you're putting into it. So Heather, kind of switching tracks a little bit, what are some of the filters? I mean, we're talking about diversifying and being on all these platforms. I mean, there's so much to do in marketing. There's so many different ways to market nowadays. So what are some of the filters that you use to determine the priorities for marketing? Obviously, one of them being, where is your customer?
Totally.
But what are a couple other things that you kind of use as a filter to say, hey, we're going to do this, but we're not doing this?
Sure. So since I work with different businesses, one of the first filters or super filters I use is not just where are the customers, where are the most profitable customers? Because not all customers are the ones we want to deal with. We want the ones that are happy to invest with us, are the most pleasurable to work with. They're going to be the most profitable typically in any business. So where do those special fishies, which pool do they swim in? That's where you want to go. Besides that, on determining where to go, was that your question on which platforms? Or
well, kind of determining the filters of, hey, there's this platform here. Should we actually go after this? There's a trend going towards this new platform. Should we actually go towards this and market?
On a new platform, if somebody's really trying to prioritize a limited amount of resources, I would be reluctant to make a push on something new. It's back to, you need to do what's proven. It's back to speed. It's back to some security and reassurance. It's not that you can't expand and innovate, but wait until your cash flow is up and you've got that discretionary capital or income to then go and, hey, let's go test it. So I do believe in having a testing mindset. But we have to be realistic and practical with, well, where are we right now in our business? Can we afford to do that?
Interesting. I love that. So this is primarily a real estate investing podcast. I mean, most everybody that listens to the podcast is probably investing in real estate in some way, shape, or form, or wanting to invest in real estate in some way, shape, or form. A lot of business owners that listen to this, and you've gotten the privilege to hang out with a lot of real estate investors in multiple different groups, including ours. So how can a real estate investor, somebody that's got a business, whether it's a wholesaling business, a property management company, fix and flip company, whatever it is, how can real estate investors leverage specifically social media? What can they do to actually utilize that in their marketing strategies?
Well, I think having a community is huge for that, because from what I've witnessed and experienced in the investor groups, masterminds too, since it's all about community, Tom and Josh, I think everyone either needs to be in one or start one, because there are people everywhere that just haven't joined in the conversation. I think there's lots of people who are interested, but they're just not speaking up. It's back to, they need to know that there is a safe harbor to ask what they might feel like are dumb questions, but they're questions. It's an opportunity to learn and grow from each other. I think community is so important.
Interesting. So how can a real estate investor build a community?
How can they build one? Well, the fastest way is to join one first and look at what's already been working and then try to duplicate it or some elements of it.
Interesting.
If they haven't experienced it, how will they know what to build?
Well, it's kind of that statement that the best authors are normally the ones that read the most. Like you could see what's happening and what is going on, and then kind of almost mirror it instead of reinventing the wheel, right?
Right. And, I wouldn't be turned off by the thought of somebody who's not experienced one to starting one. Maybe they're in a rural area and that just hasn't existed yet. Maybe they would be the pioneers. That gets the conversation going. That would be awesome to be the core founders of a group. Rock on. Do it.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. All right. So we're going to wind this down. We got a few more questions for you. It's been awesome having you on the show. You dropped so many nuggets. I hope every single person that's listening is writing stuff down, because just so many value bombs that are being dropped on this episode. So you went to social media marketing world.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That was my Disney World. Yes.
Awesome. So what's the biggest thing that you learned there? I know it was a few days, and I was out there in San Diego, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what's one of the biggest things that you learned at that conference?
You know, the closing keynote was just crazy on point, and it may, to somebody who's really wanting to get techie in the answer on what are the huge takeaways, to-dos, or how to prioritize my social media, it actually came full circle back to connecting with humans, the human to human experience. That's exactly what the whole theme of the conference was about. We just happen to use digital tools to do it, but we've got to have the human mindset. How do people think and feel when they're engaging? Or why aren't they? It's back to their thoughts and feelings. It's all about the psychology and the emotion of our communications.
Sure. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's all about being social, it sounds like.
Yeah, coincidence.
It's called social media for a reason, right?
So I have a question. What if you're not a social person?
Tom, you're a social person.
Is your question if you're not a social person and you're at social media marketing world, or what?
Yeah, like, so if you want to if you want to do something in social media, or if you have a company and you're not very social, what do you do?
Oh, then you should start a community for social media introverts.
There you go. Okay.
That makes sense. It sounds like it would get a lot of action, right?
Yeah, especially
you have
in
a bunch of people not posting.
Yeah.
We're all not posting together. We're all sitting here waiting for
community.
somebody to not post, because we are not
Right.
social media introverts.
They're the least likely to post a selfie.
That's hilarious. That was a good question, Tom. I like it.
That's what I'm here for, is to ask the good questions.
That was a great
Yeah,
question.
that was good.
But for real though, I'm sure we have a lot of introverts. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in our mastermind that aren't on social media.
Oh, and you know what? Some of the best social media managers are introverts, believe it or not. It's like they feel safe online to be whoever they want or whoever they need to be. They could be totally different online than who you would expect them to be in person. I've met some true mavens at social media marketing world who seem to be just the most reserved. Like they would have been a great librarian, I think, except they're awesome online.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. All right, cool. Well, that's it for the questions about social media. I mean, there's just so much value that's been brought here. So I hope you guys have been listening and writing stuff down.
Thank you for coming today
yeah,
with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for spending the time with us to be on the show today and sharing everything that you have. Before we let you go, we got 2 more questions that we ask every single person that we get on the interviews here. I told you at the beginning there would be no surprises, but surprise.
Surprise.
Surprise. All right, so Good Success. You know us well now. Now you're a part of the mastermind. You've been in the actual room and experienced the type of people that we really target towards. You know Tom very well, and what he's all about. You know our community well. So when you hear that term Good Success, maybe not the specific group of people, but that term Good Success and what that stands for, what comes to mind? What does Good Success mean to you?
Good success means to me the standard of fulfilling our purpose for our maker to finally say, and good job, good and faithful servant.
It's awesome. Oh. See, he even used the words good and faithful.
Faithful servant. Exactly. Love it. That's right.
That's right.
Well, good and faithful servant.
I stole that from somebody, you know?
There's a lot in that word, good.
He didn't say great and faithful.
You got it.
That's
right.
Say
that.
That's exactly right. I love it.
God doesn't need a superlative. He already is.
You got it.
That's
Absolutely.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. And then you got to leave the audience with one thing only. So whether it's a book that you've read and you want to share, a thought, piece of advice, a quote, whatever it is, one thing you got to leave the audience with, what would that be?
Oh, can I leave 2 things?
For this time, yes.
Okay. And
we'll let you get away with it.
You could compact them and say it's one. It's actually a book resource, 2 books. One that will change your marketing mindset as soon as you read it. It's called Positioning, and I cannot remember right this second who the author is, but you got to look up Positioning. Is it Donald Miller, perhaps? Okay,
might be.
That's one. The other one is The Power of Habit. also affects everything, not even just your business, your personal life. Every part of your good success is going to come from the habits, your mental, which extends into physical, spiritual, everything. Check it.
I've read The Power of a Habit, but I have not read the other one.
Yeah, that might be by Donald Miller, the man who wrote Story Brand.
Story Brand, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably it. Okay, cool. So positioning.
I could be wrong, but yeah, we'll check that.
We'll check it out. Just go search for the marketing book Positioning, and then The Power of Habits. So
yeah.
Heather, amazing stuff. Thank you so much for being on today. Thank you for sharing everything. If somebody want to get in contact with you and learn more about your business, learn more about maybe some of the service offerings that you have to provide, what would be the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, you can check out my website, thebizfiz.com. Biz as in business, B-I-Z. Fizz like soda, fizzy in your drink. Keep your sales from going flat. So that's my website. All of my services are not listed there. I don't want to be over educational to my competitors, but you can still check it out. If you do have a question, definitely just message me directly. My email is heather@thebizfiz.com. Digital marketing that makes a difference.
Awesome. Love it.
Actually, that book is by Jack Trout, which is one of my favorite marketing authors.
Oh, thank you, Tom.
Who also wrote the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, which in my opinion is one of the top ones if you haven't read that one.
So I've listened to it on Audible like 3 different times already.
Yes. Awesome. Well, there we go. Heather, thank you so much for being on the show today. We much appreciate it.
Yes.
And we look forward to having you back again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to Good Success. Thanks, guys.
All right, so that's going to do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us on this Good Success Podcast episode. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the Good Success Podcast. We're on all podcast platforms, wherever you listen to podcasts.
5-star.
Just search Good Success. You'll find us there. And like Tom said, 5 stars if you're on Apple Podcasts. That would be much appreciated. We would love to hear your thoughts on the podcast. And then the Good Success Mastermind. You just heard Heather, who's a Good Success Mastermind member. And the next event is in August. So I'm assuming we're recording this in right before the May event, and so I'm sure it went well. But if you guys want to learn more about it, goodsuccess.com/mastermind to learn more about it. Check out the future dates for the events coming up. Fill out the application there, and then it'll talk on a phone with Tom and just kind of vet through you to see if you're a good fit for the mastermind and vice versa, because we very much value that culture that's in the room. You guys heard Heather, I mean, just quintessential person that's in the room. So goodsuccess.com/mastermind to learn more about it there. Then the Community Go-Giver event. We're not going to say any more about it. It's coming up like next month, at the end of the month, June 26, 27, 28. CommunityGoGiver.com is where you can sign up for your tickets there. Make sure that you take advantage of it because we're selling out at 80 tickets. 80 tickets. We're not taking any more. No more, no exceptions. Sign up. You're not going to want to miss out. So communitygogiver.com. And that's going to do it for today's episode. We appreciate you jumping on and joining us today. Remember to be a conduit, not a bucket.
Work to have to give.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.